Welcome to IOU, Some Money Education. Today we have Hannah Koumakis back on the microphone. She is asking all the questions you wish you could, but she's also bringing some amazing answers. She is the queen of budgeting, of side hustles, and we're going to be digging into all of that today.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how budgeting can only really get you so far. You kind of need to get to a point where you are starting to earn a little bit more money. And that's where side hustles come in. And we're going to be talking about some of my favorite side hustles, including extras work, supermarket sampling, mystery shoppers, dog walking, pet sitting, all of those in today's episode. So it's one that you do not want to miss.
And if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, okay, this is really great, I want to actually action this, I want to create my own budget, I want to start working towards short-term, long-term savings goals, we've created IOU The Practical, which is a 7-part video series with Lucy Blackiston from Shit You Should Care About. So if you would like to see that, we will put the link in the podcast show notes. But other than that, enjoy the episode. This episode of IOU, Some Money Education, is proudly brought to you by the Bank of New Zealand. When you're just starting out, managing your money should feel easy so that you can focus on winning at whatever you're doing.
Whether you're flatting, saving to travel, or making a career move, they have all the tools to help you master your money from the get-go.
Thanks so much to the Bank of New Zealand for making IOU, Some Money Education, possible. Don't forget to check out IOU The Practical Lessons to put what you're learning into practice. Find the details in the podcast show notes. Hannah, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. This is really exciting because I think I love the way that you make talking about budgeting and money and everything just like easy and fun. Yeah, I mean, I wish when I was your age I'd had an account like that to follow. I think that you kind of, in sort of 5-10 years, I think all of us, anyone in this space will look back at the work we were doing and be like, wow, this was really helpful.
It's so fun though. Like, I love it. I love talking about money. I love budgeting. I love helping people think about how they can best organize their accounts to suit them. And I don't know, like I've seen the stuff that you guys post as well. I'm like, yes, like I feel like we're getting it now. Everyone's good. I
know. I think what was really great about what you shared in the last episode, for anyone that hasn't listened, definitely go back. You don't have to have listened to that for this one to make sense. But I think what Hannah really demonstrated in the way she spoke about how she splits her accounts, obviously we've got IOU The Practical, which is the way that us at The Curve split our accounts. The way that you were teaching and talking about it is a really slight iteration of that. It's kind of basically the same thing. But I think it's also just a reminder, you know, you'll find things that work for you and that don't, and there'll be tips and tricks along the way. And I recently had a total meltdown falling off the bandwagon. Even this morning trying to get here, I was saying to Hannah off mic, I had like a little meltdown at the train station because the trains weren't working and I didn't have the right money in my account and it kept being like contact issuer, contact, and I was just like, oh my, you know, when sometimes it rains, it pours. And I find when I've spent all this time trying to sort my finances out and then it doesn't work, I find it deeply frustrating. But it's kind of the reality is that sometimes you do have to revisit what hasn't worked. And in our last conversation, some of the homework that we gave people listening was the idea of like checking your accounts often.
Oh, so good. And then also, I didn't realize until recently, or my followers were telling me, is that a lot of these bank accounts actually have like a quick view. And so I've just moved to BNZ a few weeks ago. And when you open up the BNZ app, it literally has a quick view of your top 4 accounts. So like, I didn't know this. I literally had no idea that you could just open up your account without even logging in and seeing all of your accounts in case someone's like peering over your shoulder. And you just have a little quick view of your accounts. It's like, that's such a good way to make it a little bit easier to look at your accounts without looking at all of them. So it's like, okay, cool. I can just select a few. It's so good.
I agree. And I think that was something I didn't do recently and it really caught up with me. What I'd love to speak to you about in this conversation, Hannah, is there's probably a lot of people that have done this for the first time or perhaps redone their budgets. They might be really gutted with what they found in terms of if they are following roughly a 50-30-20 split, 50 on essentials, 30 on fun stuff, and 20 on investing in future, that actually there's like almost nothing really left over for investing, you know, which as we all know, is really, really important if you want to get ahead financially. So I'd love to spend this episode. I know you're the queen of side hustles and of really making the most of the money you have and making more money. And I think that really nifty approach to money, not just saving, but also making more, is super, super helpful for people that feel almost like victims of their circumstance. Like, oh no, this is not what I was hoping to find. So that's really what I would love to focus on today.
Well, and I feel like you can only budget so much. Like, you only have a limited amount of money. And so, yes, you could be a queen at budgeting, man. You could be so good. You could have like everything split off perfectly, but it's like you're still limited by the amount that you're earning. So like, how can you go and invest and increase your wealth if you're just capped at the amount that you're bringing in? Like, I think budgeting is so amazing, and I'll never speak badly about it, but it can only do so much. Like, it's not going to solve your problems and make you rich. That's the reality.
I know. And I think for people who aren't earning as much as they would like to be, but they're trying to follow this, they might have found that their essentials and then even just having a little bit of fun with their fun money means there's actually just nothing. There's no 20% because, yeah, you can adjust how much you're spending in terms of your essentials, kind of, but that one's a bit more set. The fun piece, yeah, cool. You could totally cut that out. But also, I don't know. I feel conflicted by this because it's the idea of, do you live now? Should you be restricting yourself to the point where, you know, you're sacrificing the fun for the future? And we'll get to all of that in a second. But in, you know, tradition is it a tradition? We've done it now, the fifth episode for IOU. I guess we can kind of call it a tradition.
Yeah.
We would love to start just by a quick little snapshot of who's in the red and who's in the green.
Never, not in a million years, absolutely not.
In the red.
Green with envy.
Or green.
Oh, I'm impressed with myself at the moment with my personal spending. I've really reined it in. I honestly can't remember the last time they went out and bought something. So I'm really impressed with myself. So I feel like in that regards, I'm in the green. But because I'm renovating, it does mean that like I'm going to be in the red for the next 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Every single week is going to be a bit rough. So I don't know. I think last time we said something about an orange. So I kind of want to bring that back. Can we be in the orange again? Like I'm
Sure.
good. I'm also like, I'm not good.
But I do think, and we can speak about this, maybe it's another time and another conversation with regards to how you're making money through property, but also you're in the orange/red, but it's an investment. I think it's so different to being, you know, you're not going to be able to get out of the amount you're spending on your house in a couple of weeks as a long-term investment. So it's kind of almost, I would think of it as zoomed out from your monthly budget because you're investing, but
Totally. But no, what about you though?
I'm so bored of saying I'm in the red, but I'm in the red again. The reason I'm in the red this month is because, so I've recently taken over managing the Curve finances as well as my personal finances. And I think what I've noticed is when I have accountability in anything in my life, I was even speaking to my cousin the other day saying, living with a partner, I find my accountability for everything is actually better. Even just small stuff like I don't want to be scrolling on my phone in bed. I feel embarrassed by that, so I don't do it when he's around. But if it's too hot and we're in separate rooms, I will spend half an hour scrolling. You know, so in the same way that this accountability thing, I've all of a sudden realized, like I always knew it with things like going to the gym, going with a friend, I find easier. But because I'm now doing the business finances, I used to be quite good at paying myself back, you know, in terms of if I've spent something as a work expense. Whereas I've noticed in the last couple of weeks getting really lazy with that because it's up to me to pay me back. And so we did like a celebration dinner a couple of weeks ago. We've got some exciting news that I think we've told you about like off mic that we're going to announce it's in July. But basically we did a celebration, got everyone flowers and had a nice dinner and did speeches. It was really cute.
Yeah.
And I probably spent about maybe £400. And that was meant to be business, spending. Yeah. But I haven't reimbursed myself. And I think I keep going to, and that's why I had this meltdown at the train station. I'm like, how am I 2 weeks into this month and I'm already declining to pay for my train? And it's because I've lost track of what was where because I spent money that technically shouldn't have come out of my personal account. And now it's just like a shambles. You know, sometimes when you're like, oh, I'm so far gone with the admin now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You give up.
Yeah, I'm a bit like, oh shit, like what do I do now?
I feel that all the time. And I think one thing is that you got to, staying on top of it is actually so important. Otherwise, like what you said, you'll feel so overwhelmed that you just go, I give up.
I think that that's also flowing into other parts of my life. This is not going to be a therapy session and we are going to move into more helpful advice. Yeah, I was actually saying to Hannah off mic, I feel kind of angry and frustrated. And yes, that could be my luteal phase. And hormones, but also I just think that I always underestimate how much stress in my finances, my personal finances, comes into how I feel in other parts of my life.
Totally.
And, you know, coming in this morning, like, yeah, fine. I had to stand on the side to like figure out where I'm taking money from to tap onto the train, whatever. But I felt this like deep sense of frustration, not just at that, just kind of this weird rage feeling. And I don't often get that, but I know I get that when I'm really, really, really overwhelmed. And the only thing that I have to feel very overwhelmed about right now is that, like, I'm fine. Work is fine. It's good. You know, everything is great. I'm not like in this big spiral, but I think that recognizing how much your finances can impact the way that you feel and your mood, it's actually kind of enormous. Well, for me, I find it is quite big.
Oh, massive. I think people don't realize the correlation between the weight that your finances can hold on you. And I'm feeling it as well, you know, with the renovation stuff. And I had the biggest meltdown the other day, and I just sat in the car and I just cried and cried. And I think it was like the deepest, like, just, you just don't know what to do, you know? So I think it is, the reality is like money does hold so much weight over you and your feelings and your emotions, and it is good to address it as well. But I think because money traditionally is so taboo, you can't talk about it with people, so you've got this massive part of your life that's weighing you down, you can't talk about it. So I think it is good to recognize this.
Yeah, and it's so interesting you say that you had this sort of like big moment. I do think there's something in that, especially for you, you know, like you speak so openly about not spending outside of your means and like budgeting for the things that you want to pay for. And when you have a renovation that ends up costing more than what you expected and you're having to then like relook at everything.
Yeah.
When you go from feeling in control, kind of like I have in a much smaller capacity with my personal finances, to then feeling out of control, it can be a lot, especially when you're like, I've done all the stuff, but I did the things I was meant to do. I've been planned, you know, like stuff happens and you kind of can't control it. But I don't know, maybe the learning is like, it's actually just okay. Like emotions are a part of being human. You're doing your best. Like it's fine that you've gone over budget. It's not ideal, but you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But maybe just like giving yourself the space to feel, you know, and connect the pieces. Like it's just so weird when that stuff starts to become more obvious and you're like, oh, A plus B equals C.
Totally. And I think it's nice though that people also feel like, oh yeah, I'm in the same boat as well. And like we're all in the same boat. Like literally we all are. So we all feel the same things, whether it's on a smaller scale or a larger scale, like it's the same.
That's a really good lead in actually, Hannah, because basically what I wanted to speak about today is the idea that it's this human feeling where you measure your accounts and you realize you can't afford to do all the things you want to do, buy all the things that you want, and you know, have money left over to save for and invest for the type of life you want in the future.
Yeah.
And I think that when you start tracking things closer and you get more visibility, you then start to realize, oh my gosh, I really have to prioritize, and you have to pull back on something here, or you know, you may never have had to consider in such an obvious way the fact that you have a finite amount of finances and lots of things that you want to do. It's a really human experience. Do you remember the first time you did your budget? Or even maybe it's a time recently and you had to face that harsh reality of, okay, I'm going to have to cut back on things. Before you went to bringing more money in, how do you deal with the emotional side of having to decide what gets cut or what you no longer spend on?
Yeah. Well, I feel like there were 2 times in particular where I had to relook at my budget quite closely and go, oh my goodness, I need to start culling. The first time was when I became a university student. I went from working full time, I was a nanny in London, and I became a university student, and I was like, holy, like I actually have to relook at my priorities and relook at where my money is going. And then the second time was when I made the leap, which was crazy, going from full-time work to only 10 hours per week because I was going to work on my businesses. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I need to make 10-hour a week job cover my expenses. I need to live off 10 hours, which wasn't a lot of money. And I remember like I had my budget. So I'd written down all my like, this percentage goes here and here. And I just went, boom, like I just shrunk everything. My shopping went from $200 a month to $50 a month. My entertainment dropped from $100 to $10. And how I ended up doing this was through substitutes and going, actually, I love catching up with my friends. I always go for coffee or for like, not much. I wasn't like big back then, but I would go for like an iced chocolate or something because I'm not a coffee gal. And I was like, well, why don't I just go for a walk and skip the whole coffee thing? Or like, you know, if you go out for cocktails or you go out for drinks, it's like, why don't you just pre-drink at home maybe? I don't know, it's like a little bit cheaper. So it's like, it's still doing the things that bring you joy, but how can you do it on a budget?
Yeah, and I also think, I don't know if this is, I love that I'm asking you help me and then I'm giving advice as if I'm doing it myself, which I'm not. I need to cut stuff out of my budget for sure. But also I think if you can see it as a period of time, so for example, it's not forever. It's not as though you're not ever going to go to a restaurant again or you're never going to have a cocktail out. But maybe the sacrifice is for 6 months.
Totally.
You just, and I also wonder if the sort of saying no or finding a workaround, if you just make that the goal, every time you go to be asked to do something, you don't have to constantly debate whether or not you can. Because I've got some friends who I know they just have these rules for themselves where, you know, in London, things are really expensive, especially going out for meals and drinks. So they'll always be the one to pick the location and it will be a pub, not a restaurant. Or they'll always say no to group dinners because they know they're going to be, you know, they have these workarounds that are kind of their non-negotiables. You almost need to find what are those boundaries for yourself and then not have to constantly negotiate with yourself every time. Because I think it's like the emotional piece of saying no if you're deciding with each thing rather than deciding from the outset.
Totally.
Maybe it also reduces the sort of willpower that you have to rely on.
One thing that I talk about a lot on my platforms is visualizing your savings, or what are you saving towards? Because otherwise, if you're going, oh, I just need to like not go out and buy coffee because I need to save money, that's really hard to do. Okay, say for example, you're saving to go to Europe. Oh, that's right, I'm not going to buy that coffee because I'm saving to go for Europe. That's so much easier to do. It's so much easier to go, yeah, okay, no, like all good. I don't need to have a coffee. I don't need to go and buy another cocktail. Like I'm all good. So I think it's really important to have the reason why. So for me, when I went from full-time work to 10 hours a week, it was going, well, no, I'm not going to buy that top because it means I get to do what I absolutely love. And I'm getting to build on my businesses. I'm getting to grow my businesses. So it's having something that you can actually go, yeah, no, I'm doing this for a reason. That's really important.
Okay, so let's say someone's looking at their budget and they realize they need to do what you did, which is cull out stuff to have more money as a starting point. It's almost like circling the things that there's a bit of flex on. I mean, things like your mortgage or your rent or you know, 60 on groceries is like not a lot. So it's looking at the things that you could flex on, putting those to the side, trying to cut them down, and then almost maybe making even like a mantra or a thing, the reason why you're doing that. So every time you restrict yourself from it, you can kind of reinforce the reason why.
100%.
Because I think that it's almost like, in a way, everyone laughs at me for my vision board that I have on my computer.
I was just about to say a vision board. You need a vision board. So I think we're on the same wavelength. So
I mean, I look at it now. I actually didn't do one at the start of this year. I did it at the start of last year. And I look at the things that are on it. It's so funny as well. There's this girl dancing looking like so sexy because I really wanted to do dance classes.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I open it, it's like quite horny. And people are like, oh, what's this? So I'm like, oh, it's dancing.
And have you surely?
No, I haven't, and I need to do it because I really feel it's so fun to dance. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy it. But anyway, point is, I actually have done a huge amount of what's on there because it's this constant reminder. Yeah, maybe it's if you're struggling emotionally to cut stuff out, put on your phone screen or something, the thing that you're choosing instead. So every time you go to swipe your phone, you see the reason why you're not swiping. But yeah, you kind of do have to hack your brain a bit, right? Because it's unbelievably easy to just make those decisions in the moment if you're not constantly trying to reinforce the better thing that you're choosing at a later date.
Totally. And I guess it's not a no, it's like a not yet, like, or not now. I think that's kind of the important thing is budgeting is not about restricting yourself. So budgeting, like, we don't want you to feel like you're living this life that's so like tight and you're not able to do the fun things that you want to be doing. I think the important thing is that you have that balance as well. But potentially, like what we talked about, there is going to be a period of time where maybe you do need to buckle. What do they say? You need to buckle down or something?
Knuckle down.
Knuckle down.
But also, why knuckle down? Like, are we on all fours? I think that's all why, though. Making an effort to A, know your numbers, but B, almost attaching emotions to things is actually really, really helpful. You know, for me, I would love to buy a dog. I really, really, really want a dog, but I also don't want to have a dog and not be able to go away and pay for really good care for it or pet insurance for the dog. Maybe it's like I need to put a cute dog on my background so that every time I choose to not spend the things that I've cut out of my budget, I can see that. And I'm like, oh, cute. I'm going to get a dog one day.
Totally. And I think we'll talk about that next time as well, about the power of saving and the power of what your mind can do as well to visualize your saving. Because otherwise it's really hard, really, really, really hard if you don't visualize it. Your mind is a freaking powerful thing, eh?
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about is the idea of, bringing more in, because this is your, I want to say bread and butter, but I just think there's not that many people that have had so much experience in side hustles. But side hustles, I think, make it sound like you're doing an entire new job, which maybe in some cases you have and is possible. But ultimately what we wanted to talk about today is the fact that you may feel like there's only so much you can do to control what you do with the money once it's there. There's a whole nother lever that you can pull, which is the money coming into your account.
There's only so much that you can budget with your income until you realize I actually have to start earning more. So I think that's the part where you go, when you look at your budget and go, oh, wow, actually, in order for me to invest the money that I want to invest to reach the life that I want to reach, I am going to need to start bringing in money. And there's so many different ways that you can do that, whether you're looking at asking for a pay rise, working your way up in a company. But I think a really easy way is a side hustle. A side hustle is literally, as we talked about, it's something on the side. It's in the name. It's on the side. And it's something you do when you're a uni student or when you're working full time as well. A lot of these things that I'm going to share next, the side hustle that I tried, you can literally do in your own free time as well. So I think, that's really important, that when you look at your budget and you go, oh my gosh, there's only so much I can budget, that's kind of the turning point when you realize, okay, I need to potentially look into another source of income.
Hannah, you are arguably one of the most entrepreneurial people ever. You have about 105 businesses. So for someone that's listening to this who's thinking, I'm not really an entrepreneur, I don't see myself in that way, I don't really ever actually want to have my own business, so there maybe then as a byproduct of that feeling like side hustles maybe isn't for them. Could we maybe reframe that? Because I think that the idea of side hustle has almost turned into the expectation you start something and then it turns into your full-time thing.
Not at all, yeah.
And that's not really the case, right? The whole point here is actually it's just extra money. It's
Totally.
not a full – you're not trying to do a career shift. You're not necessarily trying to evolve this into something bigger. It's just looking at what are your skills, what time do you have, and how can you use that as an exchange to bring more money in.
100%. All my side hustles that I did were not about creating another business or another company. They are really easy ways for anyone across the world to jump in and get – some extra income. Like it is a really easy way.
What are some of the best ones that you've done? Maybe we start with the most successful or the ones that kind of took you by surprise as actually being quite good, as examples of ones that ideally aren't so heavy on the lift.
Yeah, cool.
In terms of what someone has to do, but actually has quite a big payback.
Well, okay. I first of all want to say, how on my TikTok, there's a lot of how to make like $9,000 an hour if you follow me and you do this. It's like, honestly, I have to preface before I get into all these side hustles that you actually are required to work. These are not passive income ideas. Like, more legit. I think so many people are wanting, it's sad, okay, I'm going to say this, but I think a lot of the younger generation are just wanting easy, get rich quick. These side hustles require actual hours of you physically being there. And I think it's quite sad that everyone is trying to do the online, the printables on Etsy. They're trying to find these real passive ways that they can make money. These side hustles, they take a bit of a hard mahi, like you are actually going to have to work. But I think that's just the one thing that I want to preface before we get into it.
No, I think that's a really good starting point. You have to decide, are you willing to either give up spending on something to have more money or work harder to have more money? I listened to someone the other day. It was a friend of a friend. And for context, this guy is probably 33. He's not exactly young. And he absolutely has not built passive income or a particularly exciting career, sorry to be rude, but he said something along the lines of, I just want to be able to work sort of like 4 or 5 hours a week and, but doesn't want to sacrifice the things he does with the money he has.
Totally.
And it's like, maybe when you're 40 and you're incredibly experienced and you're just on boards, you could get there. But if you want more money, it's not just going to land in your lap.
Totally. I think a lot of people say to me, oh my gosh, like, how did you get to the position that you're at? And I'm like, it took hours. It took years of 90-hour weeks. I was studying full time when I did all these side hustles, and all of these side hustles that I'm going to go into are literally side hustles that you have to be present and you have to actually put in the hours. It's really sad when people think that they can just snap their fingers and get some money.
I worked so hard for free for a really long time.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
I did so many internships and so many jobs, and I was always the yes person that was just going over and above to try and learn and make a good impression so that I could propel my career, because I knew that was the earning potential. And I think the same thing for me. A lot of people just sort of assume not that I'm sitting here making all this money, but it's more anyone that is even remotely successful has worked insanely hard to get there, or anyone that has a lot of money, unless they've inherited a ridiculous amount, has worked really hard for that. And I think you're right. I think there's a bit of a disconnect between what people are expecting to do. So yeah, maybe we start looking at some of these, the ones that from your side were quite, I love how excited you get by this.
I honestly, this is my favorite topic. I'm so excited.
Why is it? Is it just because it was like, did it take a while to figure out how to do it? What is it? Because most people are, A, have never tried it, and B, have no ideas. You have millions.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it just it throws me back to such a good time in my life where it was hard. Like, I was literally working, doing so many side hustles every single day. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to experience so much. I got to meet so many people. Like, it was just the best time ever. And I love helping people realize that you can unlock so much more of your life if you get in just a little bit more income. Because that, $200 per week, you can literally invest that. And you don't know how powerful $200 compounded over a few years is by just doing that one extra side hustle. Like, I want people to realize that their time, this is really controversial, doesn't have to necessarily be on a Saturday sitting down scrolling TikTok for 5 hours. You could use those 5 hours and you could actually do a side hustle. And like we said, we're prefacing, side hustle does not mean you have to create your own business. By no means. These ones that I'm going to go over are literally companies across the world that you can just join and sign up, and then boom.
Okay, let's work our way through this list.
Okay, let's go over it. So my absolute top one is an extras work. This is quite bad, but I saw that you could join up, and I live 2 hours away from Auckland. And I said to me and my brother's like, poor thing, he was 5 years old. Oh, he was really young. And I convinced him to spend all of his savings to go to this extras agency, and you had to pay $500 and you had to then sign up to become an extra. And I was like, we're going to get rich. Like, we're going to be the next, I'm going to be a Narnia. You know what I mean? Like, this is
I'm going to be a Narnia.
Legit. And so, that is a big red flag. And I will talk about this. If your extras agency that you're wanting to sign up to is asking you for money up front, please do not join them. That is literally the biggest red flag ever. So sadly, me and my brother, I was young. I was literally 10. I spent $500 towards this agency and we didn't get any work because we live so far away.
That is so...
Oh, I know.
Shit. Sorry, but that's terrible.
I know. So sadly, we did not get anything. But then I moved to a different agency when I moved to Auckland. So the thing is, if you're listening to this and you're anywhere across the world, basically the next biggest city really is where you'll get the work. If you live in a small city or small town, it's you're not going to get any work for extras. London will have heaps, but Auckland is a massive hub of TV shows and movies that they film in Auckland. And so I joined up back in 2020. I heard about it obviously when I was younger, but I learnt more about it when I was a bit older, signed up, and I did a heap of work. I'm talking maybe every week I was on a different TV show, different Netflix show, Amazon show. I was in Shortland Street. I was in Shortland Street for a bit, and then I went into being working for 3 months on The Rings of Power, which is the Lord of the Rings, and I was working on that full time. Now here's the great thing, okay? When you work on film productions, you get fed really well. When I was on Lord of the Rings, I would get fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner because I was on set the whole day, which meant there was 3.5 months of my life where I did not go to the supermarket at all. I was fully fed. And it was the best food ever. I feel like I gained like 10 kgs because I was just sitting there just eating the whole time. It was amazing.
I mean, I want to do extra work. I've all of a sudden you're right, there'll be heaps in London.
Heaps. And this is the thing. So the current pay that you get in New Zealand is $250 per day, minus tax, minus agency fees. And agency fees is around 20%. So that's kind of a universal thing. So it isn't the most incredible amount of money that you can earn every day. However, I was a student and I had to study every single day. So I thought, hang on, why should I be studying at home? I should just be studying on set. Like, I literally can bring my laptop and I can work. So that was one of the coolest things, was that I was able to do what I already would be doing at home and just get paid for it. You make the most incredible friends. Extras work is amazing. Now, the other great thing about an extras agency, and there's so many agencies. So if you're in Auckland, the best extras agencies that I recommend, the one that I was with, is called Fresh Talent. Absolutely love them. We've got Cam Talent, who is also amazing. We've got BGT. There's Heroes and Villains. There's actually quite a few really good agencies. But what these agencies will also do is they have commercials that you could potentially audition for. Now, this is where the big money is. So I did a Wendy's commercial.
What did you have to do?
Oh, it was really fun. I was a checkout chick. And so I had the little Wendy's hat on. It was so much fun.
I actually can so imagine you. Quite cute.
I was so nervous. I was really nervous. I remember the director coming up to me and he was like, can you say it? Not. I don't know. I feel like I was saying it really
What was the line?
This was a Baconator ad. And I remember saying no bacon in the Baconator. But I think I was so nervous. I was like, no bacon in the Baconator. Oh, can you say it more realistic? So anyway, we did it 943 times. But we got the take and happy days. But you earned $5,000 for the day. It was actually insane how much money you can earn as a hero on a TV commercial. And I remember, this is the craziest thing, I won't disclose the company, but I was a featured extra in an American TVC. I got an email from my agency saying, hey Hannah, the final cuts come out, and on top of your $250 that you made per day, we've also realized that you are recognizable in the ad, which means we're going to give you an extra bonus of $3,000.
No way.
So because I was recognizable, I got $3,000. There's so much money to be made. Honestly, it's amazing. You can't guarantee it. You do, in order to become a hero or someone with a dialogue speaking, you do need to have some experience of acting, but highly recommend it.
Love it. Here for it.
Second one, mystery shopper. Have you heard of these?
Is it something to do with you go into a shop pretending to be doing something and you're reporting back?
Yeah, it's so good. Now, look, it's not the most well-paying, but it is really, really fun. So what you'd have to do is you go into a shop, like what you said, and you pretend that you're just a customer, but what you're doing is you're assessing, how the store's laid out. Is it clean? How well or how, fast does the person come up, and how do they greet you?
So you could even dress up quite incognito, you could get a little beret, or you could have you could make it quite fun.
It's so much fun. I remember my very first mystery shopper was, I had to do a big furniture chain, but when I accepted the job, I was only 16 and I had to go and pretend that I was buying a fridge, and so no one took me seriously. But no, it was good. That's really fun. Mystery shopper. So you could there's extras work, mystery shopper, and there's events work. Now, events work, there's lots of different agencies. One in New Zealand's called Brand Spanking, and you get to go and work at events. You get to be the bar star.
I've done this. I've done it, and I loved it, and it was fun. All I will say is this was pre being aware of the power of being a young woman, and I didn't love. It was almost like this unknown sexual contract that you didn't know was going on, and if you were a bit flirty, you got tips. And I think in hindsight, I was like, that was a bit icky, and I didn't love that. But I worked places where people were really drunk, the races, stuff like that.
But then it's kind of fun, though. Did you find it fun, though?
I did find it fun. I found it really good to do with friends. I liked the idea of, if it was on a Saturday, we could go and do it together, so at least you had friends there.
Totally.
All the stuff, back to what you said about, it's hard work. You're on your feet for 12 hours. It's definitely, but it is fun. It's better than being... I've done reception work and stuff like that, and it's way more fun being out serving stuff.
So much fun. And I would always work at festivals because it meant that I got the free ticket to the festival afterwards. So this is how I save money, is I never paid for shows or anything. Elton John, I just listened to him while I was serving some, some drinks. So it's win-win, you're making money. So that was really fun, events work. supermarket sampling.
Oh.
You know when you go into the supermarkets and you see someone standing there giving out samples, they're being paid by an agency. And this is really fun. It's like slightly embarrassing, ever so slightly. But it's quite good though. I think if you're a good salesperson, you do, because you calculate how many bags of products did you have at start and how many did you sell. And it's quite a cool way to try and like test your sales techniques, you know. So supermarket sampling's really good. So we've talked about extras work, mystery shopper, events work, supermarket sampling, pet sitting.
Sign me up.
This is so good. This is amazing, okay? When I was a student and I was living in my flat, it was a pretty average flat, single glazing, it was freezing. I was just going around and literally staying at people's houses as a pet sitter. I think I stayed at like 50 people's places, eh? It was kind of rogue. But you would literally stay there and look after people's pets and dogs.
Can you also do dog walking, looking after dogs, but not actually living in their house?
Totally.
Yeah, okay. But do you make more money if you're living in?
So in Auckland or in New Zealand, there is a company called Porshake. Highly recommend, highly recommend. I remember charging, I think, only like $50 or $60 a night, which isn't a lot of money when you think about it. You're like, wait, actually, especially if you get a request and someone's like, hey, I want you there all day, like 24 hours a day. It's like $50 is not worth it. But if they're like, if it's just a cat and they're like, yeah, we really want you there for the evening and you can feed the cat and you go to sleep and you wake up. It's like, well, you have to do that anyway. You have to go to sleep anyway. You may as well just be at someone else's house. And okay, there was one story. I have to share this. So I got a request from a lady and she was like, hey, a little bit of a different one. I own 16 cats. And I was like, you know what? This is literally my dream. This is my dream. I was like, sign me up. Honestly, I went in there and it was an absolute nightmare. Like, I've never in my life been so overwhelmed with so many cats. It stunk so badly. Cats everywhere. Imagine just like them crawling all over you, which is totally fine if you love cats. But here's the thing. I had my brand new journal and it was like a fabric covered journal. And next thing, I hear this scratching noise. I look over and there's this cat clawing at my fabric journal and it like literally pulled it all up.
Has it put you off cats indefinitely?
No, I love my cat. But 16, I was like, it is kind of borderline getting crazy. She was a crazy cat lady. But pet sitting is really good. House sitting, pet sitting, dog walking. It is really easy work. If you love going for a morning walk, why don't you just see if there's someone that wants you to also walk their dog for $20? Get paid to do what you're already going to be doing.
Do you know what I also think about all of these things? I think that if you can in your head almost preface that the money that you're making from this is going to your investments, therefore it's not just 50, it's actually 1,000 when it's compounded.
Totally.
It'll be more motivating. If you're staying the night with cats crawling all over your face for 50 and that's actually only paying for you to go out for one dinner, is it worth it? Probably not. So I almost feel like if you can reframe the money that is perhaps not as much as you would earn in your full-time job, but if you think about that money compounded, it's so much more, then maybe it's the motivation you need to take less for something you wouldn't normally do.
Totally. And like they're all, I don't know, I'm a big believer that every experience is going to help shape you into a better person. Like my grandma, she said this to me and it's a quote that I love to live by. She said, each day and each experience shapes the person that you will become. So even the supermarket sampling job where you're standing there and you're trying to sell, you never know, but that skill can help you so much 10 years time. You know, it's funny actually, this is quite a crazy story, is that there was a company that I sampled literally 10 years ago and the company now I'm working with them.
No
I'm
way.
actually doing work with them. Yeah. It's a company that I absolutely love. And it's just crazy because I was there from the very outset and they just launched and I was there telling people, educating people. And then, 10 years later, we're working alongside of them for Dear Community. And they remember the fact that I did that some supermarket sampling as well.
I actually think that's a good example of you're also investing in assets, which are not necessarily tangible at the time. You know, when I was using that example of working for free, the contacts, the skills, the things that I learned, maybe the pay wasn't there. And I personally don't think I would get an intern for the curve that wasn't being paid. I think it's like kind of not okay now, especially when the cost of living is absurd. But it's not just that exchange in that moment. All of those things add up. And even the idea of selling at a supermarket, yeah, maybe you're not going to be doing that as your job, but sales is the most integral part of almost every job. If you can sell and speak to people, it's an amazing skill. So I think it's actually a really good thing to bring up.
Totally. And even like I would try and get to know the couple and actually like jot them down in the back of my mind, or even write them down as who they are and what they do, because you never know that connection could help you so much more. I think there was a crazy stat that each new person that you meet is worth $50 in your life. Yeah, you obviously leave a good impression as well, because you never know what they're going to mean for you in the future.
I actually did have a side hustle, which was babysitting when I was working full time when I was like 21. And yeah, that woman was head of marketing at this big media company, and she ended up being kind of a mentor because I got to know her in a way that was so intimate, and I was looking after her kids, so she was really grateful for that. Like, yes, she was paying me, but I think maybe it's not the traditional way to meet people or to open up doors for opportunities, but it definitely does do that as a byproduct.
And yeah, going on to what you mentioned about babysitting, nannying is a really good side hustle as well. There's so many different agencies. There was one amazing one in London that I used all the time. I was a nanny that had the school hours off. And so while I was getting paid my full-time salary, I'd also go and babysit using on this app. And I'd go and, yeah, it was the most incredible side hustle, because you are also making a difference in a child's life, in an actual human's life.
Have you ever been told you're perhaps the most hardworking person ever?
No,
I'm being serious.
not.
But do people say that? Because I mean, there's most people are not this driven.
I don't know. I just love being busy.
No, it's so good. Do you have any side hustles that you've done that you can hand on heart say this is not worth your time? Don't bother.
I think it was going back to what I mentioned before about the Etsy products. Like, look, that was me going, you know what? Why don't I try this get rich quick kind of scheme? Like, this guy's literally making $9,000 every minute. Like, why don't I also try that as well?
And what was it? Is it selling stuff on eBay?
No, on Etsy, like selling a printable, and you create a printable and you chuck it online and people can buy it. Look, it just doesn't work. And these are things that are like, they're meant to be these passive income ideas. Some work. Like I follow people on TikTok and they're earning amazing money through these passive streams. But I just think, I don't know, I'm a big believer in you just got to get out there and actually work and put in the hours. I also on YouTube. So look, this is a side hustle that I dabbled in. It made me a solid $0. So apparently something that makes people millions is, you know, when you play the YouTube video and it's just like 3 hours of like a fireplace.
Yes, love that.
Like that person's literally getting paid bank, like absolute bank. And I was like, sign me up, let me do it. So what I did is I created this royalty-free YouTube video for 3 hours long of like piano music, and I called it the best studying playlist. And I had just like beautiful like imagery and stuff and this like fireplace going. And I was like, great, like let me just watch the money roll through. I think I checked the other day, I'm on like 9 views in total. So I'm really not tracking that well. So I really think I just need to go back to my other side hustle.
Stick to your knitting, you know.
I know. Newspaper delivery. Look, that's a tricky one. That's a hard one. It's hard on the legs. Buy and sell clothes from op shops as well. That was a relatively good one. It just is really time consuming and you don't know if it's actually going to pay off.
If you have great taste, that actually can, like one of my friends has this really cool brand. It used to be called Dimes Vintage, and I should find out what it's called now. I actually should link it in the show notes because she's got amazing taste and she does that. But yeah, it's more time consuming than you think. You have to really have a good eye to pick out the right thing to be able to charge more.
No, totally.
Cash and burn.
Okay, so we've done this section before. We did it with Lucy Blackston. She asked her community for stories that were a bit absurd in terms of things they had to use emergency funds for and whatnot. And I feel like you put this out to your community to see what kind of weird side hustles would come in. Can we share some of those?
Oh, these are crazy, okay. These are actually really, really cool. So I'm going to read out, there's 5 of them. One girl said, I've started marking university assignments at my former university. I earn $4,000 to $5,000 a semester. Isn't that crazy, depending on how many courses I look after?
What a genius.
That's wild. I'm like, that is so cool. Another one said, love a good side hustle. One semester at university, I did a horticultural elective class and we planted a heap of fruit trees seedlings. By the end of the class, no one wanted to take them home, so I ended up taking them home, approximately 200, and I repotted them into bigger pots and bigger, and then I sold them off to the community and I earned about $800.
Good on her.
That is hard work.
Yeah, that is hard work.
And okay, this is my absolute favorite. So one girl said, this is crazy, literally calling a lady in America as her human alarm clock with a specific question to help her start her day right.
No, you're joking.
Haha. It was on Fiverr. I was doing voiceovers and she contacted me asking if I would do it. I was living at Thailand at the time, so the time zone was very convenient. It was an evening for me, morning for her, and she had set accountability sort of like questions to start her day.
You're absolutely kidding. Sorry, can we for a second think about when you wake up? The last thing that you want is to hear an alarm, you don't want to be waking up, right? Everyone wants to stay asleep. Imagine a stranger from the other side of the world calling you in the most intimate moment.
I wonder how she starts it. Does she just start with, quick, what's the answer? What's pie? And she's frazzled, Like, I wonder actually how she did it.
Or maybe you've got to slowly ease in. You're like,
maybe.
Hi, good morning. And like, maybe she's got a really beautiful voice. To be fair, if she's a voiceover artist, maybe she's got like a lovely voice.
And then another person said they sold the university notes as well, which is also genius. Like, you've got them.
Is that illegal?
Maybe not. Maybe we should cut that out.
No, I guess if you're not cheating, right?
It's called Studoco.
Maybe it's not. I guess you're just sort of selling the notes you took, right?
Exactly. That's fine.
It feels a bit Gossip Girl, like Chuck having someone go to do his assignment.
Legit. But yeah, I think honestly, the human alarm clock, she wins it for me.
God, that's so funny. One thing I think might be quite good to end on, and I know that this is coming from a place where right now, you did mention at the start you had a little moment to yourself in the car. Overworking yourself or stretching too far is actually, it can be quite detrimental and almost do the total opposite where maybe you burn out. I know that's a really overused term, but you get to a point where you can't even do the bare minimum and then you don't have the base that you started with. And it's because you've stretched yourself too much for side hustles or making more money. What are your thoughts on short-term boosts versus burning out? Where and how do you draw the line in terms of making sure that you're not trying to do too much?
I feel like I'm the worst person to ask about this. If I was to talk to my younger self, I think I went through this time where I hustled so hard that I completely neglected my health. Like, I neglected my health, I neglected my friends and my family. And looking back at that, I'm like, that was not worth it. Okay, we're talking about side hustles and the importance of side hustles. But then, like, maybe I pushed myself a little bit too much because I did pretty much all of those in 1 year and I was working these crazy hours. I guess if I just did one less, would I have been worse off or would I be better off? Like, I probably would have been actually better off in terms of my mental health, my physical health and my social health. Like, I would have been more connected. I would have had better friendships. I would have been close with my family. I would have had a healthier body. So I think there is this really fine balancing line of going, okay, like, how much am I waking up and clocking on and working and then clocking off and going to bed? There's no time for me to work out. I feel like your health is actually going to end up costing you a lot of money in the future. So actually, what's worth it? Is it worth you actually burning yourself out so much right now? And then actually that's going to cost you a lot of money in 10 years time when you find out that you've got fatigue and you've got all of this because of what happened 10 years ago. So I think it's that balancing line. And honestly, to be completely transparent, I'm still working on that and I'm still learning and I'm still deciding what is the best way. Am I saying no to more things? Potentially, saying no to things that aren't necessarily bringing me joy, but saying yes to things like meeting up with my best friend and actually sitting down with her and chatting rather than going, oh no, I should probably work instead. It's just fine. It's saying yes to the things that you should say yes to and no to the things you shouldn't.
But it is interesting, isn't it? Because I think when you start getting on that bandwagon of I can make more and I can spend every minute or second earning more money, sitting and catching up with a friend, you're probably hyper aware that that's actually money you could be earning, and it can get into a bit of a toxic spiral, I think.
Totally. So yeah, I think that's a really hard one, and I don't have a really good answer. I feel it's a journey, but it's one you need to weigh up because what is actually worth it in the long term as well.
Maybe we finish with an extra credit.
I figured out how you're going to earn that extra credit.
maybe the extra credit here for this month, for anyone that has been listening to IOU this whole time, is just to say, okay, ideally I'd love to have some more money. Look into some of these, make some calls, decide how much of your time you'd like to spend to bringing in more money. And please let us know anything that you decide to do, that you don't do. I think, yeah, like learning from Hannah in terms of hearing all of the things. There'll be other people that have great side hustles or, things that don't work and things that do. So please report back with any of that.
Yes.
And Hannah, I know we did this in the last episode, but for anyone that would like to find more out about the amazing work that you're doing, what are all the different platforms and places that they can find you?
Mainly TikTok and Instagram. It's just my name, Hannah Koumakis. I've got a lot of content around if you're a university student, you're wanting to make a bit more money, lots of side hustle videos as well. I do elaborate a heap more on all of these individual side hustles and what agencies you should use if you're in Auckland or New Zealand. So yeah, come find me there, flick me a message as well if you've got any questions.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Hannah.
No worries, thank you.
And that is it for IOU Some Money Education. This has been our 5th installment. I'm thinking we've probably got a little bit more we need to talk to Hannah about, so we might try to get her on again. Lol, 3rd month in a row. Thank you, Hannah. If you would like to learn kind of the step-by-step how to budget, save, invest, we do have IOU The Practical. So this is something that we recorded with Lucy Blackston from Shit You Should Care About, and it is a really easy 7-part video series. It's like a podcast, so you can listen while you're running, walking, hanging out with friends, whatever. It's very, very easy to follow, and we'll put the link to that in the podcast show notes.
Thank you so much, the Bank of New Zealand, for sponsoring this episode of IOU Some Money Education.
There is an art to starting something new, and just like any art form, you need the right tools to make it work. Whether you're flatting or you're saving to travel, maybe you want to make a career move, the Bank of New Zealand has the tools to help you master your money from the get-go.
And don't forget to check out IOU The Practical lessons to put everything that you've been learning into practice. You can find the details in the podcast show notes.
Okay, quickly, The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalised investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.